Share with you how I help a client program his subconscious mind and make $75,000 in a day, and how you can apply this to your life and you can do the same. So if you're a business owner, you're in sales, you absolutely want to pay attention to this live. It's going to be transformational. And then later on in today's live, I'll share with you guys how you can book a free assessment where we can do the same for you. All right. So first thing you want to understand is we have our conscious mind, okay? And we have our subconscious mind, all right? Now, our subconscious mind is where all of our beliefs are. Now, we base our beliefs based off of our past memories and our past experience. So in other words, as we go through life and these life events happen, we get to decide, hey, is this a positive experience? In other words, does this experience empower my belief system, or is this a negative experience, okay? And we have all these positive and negative beliefs based off of how we live our life, okay? Now, this little line here is what we call the critical faculty, okay? And the critical faculty's job is to either allow information into the subconscious or to reject it. And the critical faculty will check in with the subconscious mind based off of our belief systems to determine whether or not we are going to accept it. So in other words, if you've ever been listening to a podcast, or maybe you've read a book, or somebody's given you advice, and you've ever thought to yourself like, nah, I don't believe I can do that, or maybe that works for others but not for me, what's happening in that moment is you're taking the information in at a conscious level. By the way, our conscious mind is only about 5% of our brain power. So you're receiving the information through a podcast, a mentor is giving you advice. Your critical faculty is checking in with the subconscious and going, hey, do we believe that we can do this? Does this advice, does this information align with our belief system? Now, sometimes it does, and often it doesn't. And the way that it'll determine whether or not it aligns with our belief system is whether or not we have this past experience in our life that either empowers us or disempowers us, okay? Type yes in the chat if this is making sense to you. Also, guys, if you want to learn how to program your subconscious mind to make more money, type money in the chat, okay? Now, through the process of hypnosis, what we do is we actually bypass the critical faculty in the subconscious mind, and we begin to remove these negative beliefs and these negative experiences and actually change them into a positive experience. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make when it comes to programming their subconscious mind for success is they often are taking information in without deleting the old files, okay, without deleting the old memories. So in other words, let's imagine you have a computer and you have all these backed up old memories and old files that you haven't got rid of in a long time. Well, if you just try to store more information without removing it, it's actually not going to help the computer run any faster, okay? Here's another analogy for you. Most people are trying to take in more information. They're trying to upgrade their mindset, but they have all these mental blocks in the way that are getting in the way of them from going from where they are at to where they want to be, okay? So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a car and you have to go on a 5-mile drive just in a straight line, right? And along this 5-mile drive, every 30 yards, there's a barrier, right? There's a roadblock that comes up along the way. Now, if you try to soup up this car and make it faster and give it a supercharger, a turbocharger, whatever the case may be, it's really not going to do you any good, right? Why? And that's because we have all these mental roadblocks. So it doesn't matter how fast your car can go if there's these roadblocks along the way. So the first thing we have to do when we're working with a client under hypnosis is we actually go through and remove those mental blocks in their subconscious, aka move the roadblocks that are stuck, keeping them from getting from where they're at to where they want to be. Now, once you remove the roadblocks, guess what? You don't even have to actually make your car go any faster, and you'll get from where you're at to where you want to be in a fraction of the time, okay? Is this making sense to you guys? Hit the like button if this is making sense so far, okay? Then I'm going to share with you how we can actually start to do this stuff. So we know that if our subconscious does not align with our conscious thoughts and the beliefs that we're receiving, it will reject it. So what we want to do is we want to identify, okay, the root of these different beliefs that we have. Now, believe it or not, a lot of our beliefs can come when we're a child, so from 0 to 7 years old, okay? Often, also believe it or not, It can come during our mother's pregnancy. So while you're being incubated during your mom's pregnancy, or often the beliefs are genetic, okay? So in other words, if you ever heard the saying, anxiety runs in my family, depression runs in my family, alcoholism runs in my family, it's because those genetic memories are getting passed down through the DNA. So if your grandfather had a certain belief about money, oftentimes those money beliefs will be passed on to you. I remember this one time I had a client, exploded his income like very fast after working with us. He did like credit repair. And he was hitting like $40,000, $50,000 a month in his business. And we did a regression. We went back to a time where he was in when his mother was pregnant with him. And he was going back into this memory where he was getting in an argument with his mom. And essentially his mom was telling him, in this memory, his parents were arguing over the fact that they didn't have money. Now, this led him to have disempowering beliefs around money. So long story short, we cleared the beliefs. Well, this was kind of new to this guy. So he's like, yo, what the hell just happened? Like, that was crazy. I could literally, it was almost as if I was there, right? So he went on to ask his mother about what happened during his pregnancy. And he asked his mom, he said, hey, did you and dad like ever argue when you were pregnant with me? And she said, yeah. He said, what did you guys argue about? She said, it was usually always about money. Okay. So this blew this guy's mind. Now, by the way, this client went on to do just like within a week or two, this guy went on to do $15,000 in one day. Okay. So this is how fast this stuff works when you can go back and identify where the root is. Now, what happens to people, I need to make this wet. What happens to people often is they're actually not working with the root cause of their beliefs, okay? A lot of the times they're working with surface level stuff. This is why therapy, sorry, I got a little disconnected there, typically does not help people or empower them and remove their beliefs. And I'll share with you why. By the way, guys, if you're a business owner, you're in sales, and you want to do a free assessment to like do a deeper dive into this and take your income, your business to the next level, comment the word Zoom down in the comments and then check your DMs. I'm going to send you a link, okay? So let's, sorry, my internet or my car, whatever. Okay, so you have this weed, and you're like, I really want to get rid of this weed, okay? And this weed represents how long you've been alive. So this is the now, and this is when you were just born, okay? Well, if we go to, hey, this thing happened to me in my business 10 years ago, I want to address this, or let's say in therapy, you say, oh, 2 years ago I failed at this thing in business, or 2 years ago this happened in my relationship. Well, if you cut the freaking weed here, okay, what's going to happen? The weed is just going to keep growing, okay? Even if you cut the weed here, eventually the weed is going to grow back. So what we have to do through the process of hypnosis is we have to get to the roots, okay? We have to go to where did this first start? Not where is it consciously in your conscious awareness, but where is it in the subconscious? Is it something that happened to me when I was really young, like 0 to 7 years old? Is it something that happened to me while I was during my mom's pregnancy, like the client I mentioned? Is it something that happened before I was even born? And once you can identify and remove the roots, then those weeds don't grow back, okay? So again, the first thing you have to do when programming the subconscious mind is you have to remove the blocks. You have to remove the weeds, okay? You have to remove those barriers that are in the way of where you're at from where you want to be. Now, what most people do without removing barriers is they try to soup up their car. They try to make their car faster, put better gasoline and turbocharge it, whatever the case may be. Again, the challenge with that, if you have all these blocks, it's not really going to help you. And the way that people do that is, again, they'll go to seminars, they'll listen to podcasts, they'll do all these different things that can help a little bit, but ultimately we have to remove the garbage, okay? Now, let's imagine you have an entire garden of all these weeds. You have to go through and clear them all out, or else even if you clear one, the other ones are just going to keep growing and sprouting even more weeds. But guess what? When we clear the entire garden of all the weeds, and now we start to plant good seeds that are going to bear fruit, and then you water those seeds, what's going to happen? Eventually, you're going to grow a garden that bears fruit. So it's the same thing when working with the subconscious. What most people do is they have all these weeds, okay, in their garden, and they go, you know what, let's just leave the weeds there, and I'm going to plant a strawberry plant here. I'm going to plant, some carrots here or whatever the case may be. And then they're wondering why these are not growing how they're supposed to. It's because the weeds are getting in the way of their good fruits that are going to bear fruit of them growing. Okay. So once you remove the weeds, all right, then we plant the good seeds and then we continue to water our garden. Okay. So how does this work and relate to hypnosis? Well, we do things like self-hypnosis. Okay. We do things like affirmations. Okay. You can also do things like incantations. Incantations is basically not even, it's just like, I demand this to happen, right? I demand this from the universe, from God, that this is mine. Okay. Now, you can also do this through recorded hypnosis. All right. So one of the things I do with my client, and this is what leads them to have these crazy days where their income explodes, is I have this 8-hour recording. It's called the Money Magnetism Sleep Hypnosis. And this sleep hypnosis has literally made many people millionaires. It's made people make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's got people out of debt. It's done a lot of amazing things. But essentially for this 8-hour process is an affirmation that repeats over and over and over and over again. Now, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is we get whatever we focus on, okay? So if you're focused on doom and gloom and everything's so bad in the world, that's what you will perceive through your reality. When you're focused on abundance, possibility, that's what you will manifest in your reality. So this is the same reason why when you go to do research to buy a new car, suddenly you start seeing the new car everywhere. The car, and it seems as though a bunch of people just went out and bought the car. They didn't. The car was always there. You just weren't focused on it. So it's the same thing with money and opportunity. There's opportunity and abundance all around us, but when we get focused on the scarcity, on the lack, we don't see it because that's what we're focused on. So through the process of affirmation, self-hypnosis, incantation, or what I do with my clients, I just give them a pre-recorded hypnosis for 8 hours a night. You begin to program your subconscious mind to look for that new car. Again, just like when you're doing all the research, you start seeing it everywhere. Well, if you constantly have this affirmation playing in your mind, that will begin to dictate your reality, okay? Now, the next thing you have to understand as well, all right? There's something, and if you're in business, you'll know what I'm talking about, okay? There's this saying, new levels, all right? New devils, all right? What does this mean? Well, when I first started off doing hypnosis, my very first experience, I've been an employee before. I've been in sales before. I've done sales management. I've started my business where it was just me, solo dom. I've also done now where I started bringing people on my team, hiring and delegating small tasks. And then you go to hiring and delegating to now building leadership within your company. And then within the leadership, now it becomes expanding and doing live events and things like this. Now, the reason I share that with you, by the way, guys, hit the like button if this is valuable, if you're understanding this so far. And like I said, business owners, if you want to do a free assessment with my team, comment the word Zoom and check your DMs, okay? So, okay, let's imagine this is a building, and each one of these lines here represent the ceiling or now the floor, okay? Well, if you're down here, all right, and you're looking up at the ceiling, you're like, man, I really want to stop being a solopreneur and I want to delegate people to come on my team, right? This is a new level, right? So there's all these subconscious beliefs that hold us back. We call it the glass ceiling. The reason why it's called the glass ceiling is because it's not really real. It's only real in our mind. Now, as we go through the process of hypnosis, we figure out, hey, where are these limitations coming from? How did this glass ceiling get placed? Was it something that happened to you in your childhood that made you believe that only you can do it, or that you can't trust people on your team, or these different beliefs, these disempowering beliefs that people have, right? So this is like solopreneur, right? And this is like the level of delegating a little bit. Now, there's a difference between delegating and delegating small tasks and then duplicating and having management and then even having leadership. So let's say through the process of hypnosis, we break through these beliefs, okay? Typically at this level, it's things like, I can't trust anybody, nobody could do it as me, things like that, right? So now you've graduated to this new level, All right. But you want to go to this level. You're like, okay, cool. I have like a couple VAs, right? I'm a business owner. I got 2 VAs. All right. And you're like, okay, but I really want to graduate to where like I can actually own a business. So now it's like, okay, I need to hire like a team, an actual team of managers and let's say salespeople in this case, right? Contractors, etc. Well, here you might have more beliefs like, I'm not a good leader. I'm not good enough to lead these people, or leadership is hard, or whatever it may be, right? So then we go through, we find out what this glass ceiling is, and then you break through to this next level. Now, by the way, guys, when you're down here, guess what? You can't see this ceiling. You can't see this ceiling or this one. All you see is the ceiling that's directly right there in front of you. So what do I mean by that? Well, as you graduate to here, you break through that glass ceiling. Now you go, oh, I want to go to that higher level, but there's a new ceiling that I didn't even know was there. So like when I first started this journey 5 years ago and it was just me, I had certain beliefs that I had to break through about myself and my ability to be able to help people. So once I broke through those beliefs, I'm like, okay, now I want to delegate. Well, as I got to that point of wanting to delegate, all these new limitations came in place. Then once I got into the position of delegating, now it's like, okay, I need to hire and train managers and leaders. Well, along with that came a whole nother set of circumstances and beliefs. And now I'm at the level where we go, we have managers, we have leaders, we have positions within our company. And now I want to go one to many, right? One to many and scale. Okay. This is where you're bringing in not just a small team. This is where you expand, where you have 5 leaders that have 5 leaders apiece, and then you have a whole corporate structure. So again, at this level, now there's new limitations. Now after this level, it may be, hey, I want to buy other businesses and sell them. So again, at each individual level, at wherever you're at in your business, there's going to be new limitations, new beliefs that you have to break through. And again, rather than trying to pump yourself up or soup up your car so that you can go faster, the fastest, most effective way to break through is to remove these barriers within the subconscious, okay? Hit that like button, guys. If this is making sense and you found value from this, save the video, like it. And again, if you're a business owner, you're in sales, comment the word Zoom, and I'll send you a link to book a free assessment with my team. They'll see if you and I are a good fit to work together or you and somebody on my team. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute to take some questions here. So guys, type your questions in the chat. I can see them over here on my laptop. So what questions do you have? So again, we have covered how to increase your income by removing limiting beliefs, how to break through the new levels, new devils. I gave you guys some analogies and things like this. What questions do you have about hypnosis, about programming the subconscious mind for more success and things like this? So type them in the chat. Okay, and I'll be happy to answer your question. By the way, guys, I charge people a lot of money to like ask questions. So if you ever want to ask a question, you're like, Dom, I'm stuck here. One piece of advice could completely change your life. So take advantage of this time while you have it. Okay, how long does the process take even if you're having difficulty being hypnotized? How long does what process take? Okay, if you have difficulty being hypnotized, you are doing something wrong. And it's funny because often people have this badge of honor, like, I'm too strong-willed to be hypnotized. I can't be hypnotized. You know what I've discovered? The smartest, most successful people in the world are the easiest to hypnotize. I've worked with NFL athletes at the highest level, Olympic athletes, Olympic gold medalists, Navy SEALs, UFC fighters. And you know what's so crazy? They're the easiest people to work with. They're the easiest people to hypnotize because when you give somebody at a high level a task to do, they will do whatever it takes to fulfill the task. People who have trouble being hypnotized is because they're insecure about letting go of control and they're insecure about what they're actually going to discover. So how long does the process take is kind of a broad question. How long does what process take? Okay. The next question is, oh, damn, hold on. It went up too fast. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Next question. I might have to, what was the other question? Ask your question again, guys, because I can't really see it. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Okay, what was the other question you guys had? We'll do like 1 or 2 more and then I got to go. So ask your questions. Fire away, fire away. Maybe I could do it here. No, I can't. Nothing? Oh, you know what? I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Oh, no, I can't do it. Okay, well, I'm assuming there's more. I don't know how to flip the camera now that I'm on this side. Oh, there it is right there. Hold on. Okay, so ask your questions. All right, there we go. Now how do I get to the roots if my parents passed? So through the process of hypnosis, you don't actually go to your parents and ask them what happened. The memories are passed down genetically. So in other words, that memory is in your DNA. So you can access that by asking yourself a specific set of questions in a specific order in a certain state of mind. And when you access that, you'll find the memories and be able to release them. But you don't actually have to. You guys want to hear a crazy story? Type yes in the chat if you want to hear a crazy story, but kind of relating to what I'm talking about. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you were adopted, if you never knew your parents, any of that, okay? How do we pull out the roots, break through the ceiling? So number one is you identify where they're at. Was it before your birth, during your birth, after your birth? Once you get to it, you have to reframe what it means to you, okay? Because most people, and when we go through life, we have these life experiences, and if it's unfavorable, we will label it as a negative experience, okay? So what do I mean by that is all events in life are neutral. Okay, there's no such thing as a positive experience. There's no such thing as a negative experience. The only thing that makes it positive or negative is the perspective of the person who's observing the experience. Okay, so what makes an experience positive or negative? We decide whether it's positive or negative. So take any worst situation you could possibly think of. Let's take war. Is war positive or negative? It's neither. It's a neutral event that's happening. Now, if you ask the people that are dying and getting killed, they would tell you it's a negative experience. But guess what? The people that are making all the money off of producing the weapons and all that, guess what they think about war? They think it's a positive experience. So everything in life is a neutral point. Now what happens is as we go through life, we're little kids, we haven't developed our conscious mind yet, so we don't know how to decipher like what's good, what's bad. So we're just adopting all these beliefs. So an event happens. Let's say your parents get divorced, right? And you say, oh, this is bad because my parents got divorced because they don't love me. I don't deserve love. I'm not good enough, right? So the way that you pull out the weeds is you have to go back to these quote unquote negative experiences that you have labeled as negative experiences. And then you look at what were the positive lessons and what were the positive takeaways. Once you look at the positive takeaways, then that belief, that weed disappears, okay? Now, a good way you could change something, and this is alchemy, ladies and gentlemen. Does anybody know what alchemy is? Type yes if you know what alchemy is, okay? And by the way, business owners, salespeople who are like, dude, this is resonating with me. I want faster results. Here's the thing about clearing those blocks I told you about. You can either go in there and try to remove them yourself, or you can hire a company to come in and just bulldoze all the blocks for you, okay? Which one do you want to do? So again, if you're a business owner or sales, type the word Zoom, and we'll send you a link. You got to check your DMs to book an assessment with my team, okay? So alchemy is the process of taking lead and turning it into gold, okay? That's more of a metaphor than anything. What it means is you can take anything and you can turn it into a positive, favorable experience, okay? So when we go to like, oh my God, I was bullied as a kid. Oh my God, my parents got divorced. Oh my God, my dad left me. My mom died. I was bullied. I moved around a lot. We were broke. All these things that you perceive as negative, as soon as you shift them into the positive, the beliefs go away. Now, a good way to do that is you ask yourself, you say, hey, either what is good about this, meaning your current experience that this is happening in, and this is how you make sure that new beliefs don't develop, is when something happens to you in this moment, you say, okay, what's good about this? What's the takeaway here? Now, if it's something in the past, you could say, hey, what was good about this that's helping me now in the future, that's helping me move forward in my life? And as soon as you make that perspective shift, again, those weeds go away, they disappear. All right, so how many hypnotic sessions needed for subconscious reprogramming? So that's a great question. So I have worked with individually over 2,000 people one-on-one, and most of these people were multiple sessions. And I've tried everything. I've tried 2 sessions, 3 sessions, 4 sessions, 5 sessions, 6 sessions, 7 sessions, 8 sessions. And what I've discovered is that 6 sessions with a person who is actually committed to their success. They're willing to do the additional work required, not just sit and close your eyes. There are some things that you do on your off time to make sure that the process is still moving forward. Every single person gets results. The only people who don't get results are the people who are not really committed to their success, or they don't do the work. So let me give you an example. Let's say you hire a trainer. They're like, I'm going to get you in shape. Okay, cool. You go to the trainer once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. But then when you're not with the trainer, you're stuffing your face with a bunch of food and garbage. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter how much you train, it's not going to work. So there's things that not only you have to do with the trainer, there's things you have to do outside of the training to ensure your success. So it's the same thing with hypnosis. So I do a 6-session process that's very specific. I basically created this like a mad scientist, just testing. Okay, I'm going to do this session first, this session go here. And it just kind of like tests all these different things. And I have a specific process. And matter of fact, I certify people in my exact system, in my exact process. And the results that people get are just tremendous. Like it will blow your mind. Okay, another question. I work in sales. I'd like to know how much. If you depends on what you want to work on. Obviously, so I have people, you can work with me, you can work with somebody on my team, okay? Depending on where you're at, how easy or how hard you're going to be to work with will determine what the investment would be, okay? Obviously, I'm more expensive, and I'm not cheap, guys. And I pride myself on not being cheap. Matter of fact, I'm one of the highest paid hypnotists on the entire planet, okay? So if that scares you, then you can work with somebody on my team at a fraction of the investment, okay? Do you remember hypnotism and you did on my business partner, Howard? What's Howard's last name, Randy? Howard. Okay, what other questions you guys got? I got a couple more minutes. When's the next hypnosis session? The Saturday one, is that what you're talking about? You're welcome, Agnes. All right, guys, what other questions do you have? Today we talked about, by the way, if you're jumping on late here, I highly, highly recommend saving this video, going back and watching the full thing. It'll give you it'll start to give you some tools on how you can program the subconscious mind. Howard D's nuts. It'll give you some tools on how to program the subconscious mind to be able to start to make more money, remove blocks, and have more success, okay? Do you have a video course for this? I do. So what I did, so you guys want to hear a crazy story? All right. So check this out. I got to shorten it. I don't have the whole time to tell the backstory, but I'll tell you something. So a couple years ago, I made this 8-hour recording, okay? And it has an affirmation that plays over and over again. Yeah, that was just, Randy, come on, bro. You got to come with something better than that. Like, you just look like an idiot, but that's okay. To each their own. Anyways, I created this 8-hour recording. It has one affirmation that repeats on repeat over and over and over, okay? The affirmation is this: large sums of passive money come to me easily and quickly from multiple sources on a consistent basis, and it's in the best good of all. I can keep, save, invest the money, give it away. Whatever I decide to do, I can do it happily. Okay, so that affirmation plays for 8 hours. Now check this out. Here's what happened. Right away, people started listening to it. They started having massive success. Deals would start to close. Their calendars would fill up with appointments. Like, things just start to move, right? Now, other people had a different reaction. So some people would start listening to this recording. They could hear it perfectly fine for the first 2, 3, 4 days. And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, the recording would start distorting and it would sound like it was in a different language. So hear this out. Imagine if you were listening to your favorite song and you're listening it for 2 to 3 days. And all of a sudden, when you go to play the song, it sounds like this. You would think you're going crazy. Now, here's what I discovered after working with clients. What I discovered is that what was happening to people is that when they started to listen to this affirmation, okay, their subconscious mind was afraid of manifesting the success that they were about to have. So rather than their mind accepting it, their mind started distorting the recording. So, these are a lot of beliefs that people have, okay? People have beliefs like, if I don't work hard for it, I don't deserve it. Type yes if you have any of the following beliefs that I share. These are the most common ones, but there's many. If I don't work hard, I don't deserve it, right? I can't manage multiple sources of income. I'm not smart enough to manage a high level of success. Some people even feel guilty of being successful. This is a really powerful one. Some people are afraid that when they become really successful, that their friends and family may be jealous and envious of them, and they'll lose connections with their tribe. So long story short, what would happen is I would go through, we start identifying these beliefs, I would clear out their subconscious fears around success and money, and guess what? Guess what would happen? Somebody guess in the chat. I'm going to tell you the answer. Within 45 minutes, these people went from not being able to understand the recording to hearing it perfectly fine. So I say that because if people can't afford to work with me, which, not everybody can, or they can't afford to work with my team, we have a program where people can actually go through and listen to the recordings and stuff like that. So to answer your question, how mind-blowing is that, guys? Now here's what I always trip out on, okay? If you're not making a lot of money, meaning like at least 6 figures a month, you have a lot of mental blocks that you have to go through, okay? And believe me, I've been brokered probably than 99% of the people on this call. Literally 5 years ago, I let all my credit cards go. I had my car repossessed, and I owed a bunch of money to the IRS. So I had no money, all right? I didn't come from money. My mom was 15 when she had me, so I'm a prime example that, you can pull yourself out of the gutter and make it happen. So I want you to think about this for a second, okay? If you have these beliefs and these fears around making money or having success in your life, like I'm not good enough, I don't deserve it because I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve it because I don't know how, I don't deserve it because I didn't work hard for it, or it has to take a long time, I have to struggle, I can't make money fast. If you have all these beliefs, guess what? When you go out to work, what do you think is happening? And you're working your ass off 10, 12 hours, especially as an entrepreneur. You're working 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, every single day. You will not have more success until you remove these beliefs, until they somehow get reframed, either through hypnosis or some type of process. You will not go anywhere. So the example I always give to people is this, okay? Imagine you have a car that has the ability to go 200 miles per hour. But when the car was rolled out of the factory, they put a governor on the car and said, no, you can't go past 90 miles an hour. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter how much harder you press the gas. It doesn't matter how hard you want it to go fast. It's not going any faster. And this is how the majority of people are going through life. They're pedals to the metal. They're giving it all they have, but they have this governor that was put on them when they were 2 years old. They said, hey, you have to work hard in order to deserve it. Oh no, it has to take a long time. You have to struggle. You can't have passive income. Oh no, if you make money, God's not going to like it. If you make money, people aren't going to like you. If you make money, people are going to be jealous of you. So don't shine too bright. All these beliefs are those governors in your mind. So we have to go through and start removing the governors. Remove the governor. And guess what? You know what's funny? When you remove the governor, you can actually go faster with less effort. So whenever you're gassing it, you can get to 150 miles an hour without putting your pedal to the metal. In other words, you can have more success, make more money without actually having to work more hours, without actually having to put in more effort than you're currently putting. Is this making sense, you guys? Are you guys getting this? Type yes if you're getting this, okay? And like I said, guys, I'm going to jump off here. If you're a business owner, you're a salesperson, you're like, Dom, I need this in my life. I'm somebody who wants to make money. I'm somebody who my business, my career requires me to make more money. Not everybody is, right? Maybe you're a government employee. It doesn't matter what you do. You make the same amount of money. This is not for you. But if you're somebody who goes out and works every day, who grinds, who hustles, who makes sales, comment the word Zoom to book a free assessment with my team. What they're going to do is take you through a process to identify what are some of the beliefs you have that are holding you back, and put together a process on how we can help you break through to the next level, okay? They'll identify if you're a good fit to work with me or somebody on my team. So comment the word Zoom, and then go to your DMs. I'll send you a message with the link and book a call with my team, okay? I got to go, but I'll answer this last question. I have issues with alcohol and drug use, which puts me in a negative mindset. Obviously, I have to deal with those blocks before I can progress. Do you have a hypnosis? I don't. I do not work with alcohol or drug abuse, and here's why. What actually got me to work with business owners and salespeople is before I became a hypnotist, I was in sales and I had my own insurance business for a very long time. And I was one of these people that I would have success and then I'd lose it. I'd have success and then I'd lose it. How many of you guys ever had this happen before? Hit the like button, type yes if you know what I'm talking about. You're like, Dom, I've gone through the grind, right? The ups and the downs of business and sales. And what would happen is when I was on the up, I would like listen to podcasts, read books, you know, do all this motivational shit. But guess what? Life insurance. As soon as I stopped listening to that, I would just crash. And then once I was down at the bottom again, I'm like, oh man, here we go. Okay, podcasts, books, reading, doing this, doing that, you know, and then I'd spike again. And it was this process of up and down. And it wasn't until I discovered the power of the subconscious and removing blocks that now it's just like this. And sometimes there's a little speed bump, but there's not these gigantic walls in the way. Okay. So if you're somebody that resonates with it, that's why I work with business owners, because I did it for so long. I understand the struggle. For those of you who've been here and watched me draw out the levels, I've gone through all the levels. I've gone from employee to salesperson, from salesperson to manager, from manager to independent contractor, to solopreneur, to building a small team, to now building a larger team, to doing one-to-many, where I have live events and I have trainings and all this other stuff. So not only do I know how to hypnotize you, I've broken through all these levels on my own. So if that resonates with you guys, again, comment the word Zoom, visit my profile, once you do type the word Zoom, go to your DMs and check your stuff, and we'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye-bye.